The wedding that never was. Welcome to Twisted Heartstrings. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing stories. The contract that changed everything. Maya Chen stood in the marble lobby of Kane Industries, her hands trembling as she clutched a brown envelope. Inside were the bankruptcy papers for Chun Technologies, the company her late father had built from nothing. She was only 26 years old, and she was about to lose everything. Miss Chun, Mr. Kane will see you now, the secretary said with a cold smile. Maya walked into the enormous office on the top floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the entire city below. Behind a massive desk sat Alexander Kane, the youngest billionaire CEO in the country. He was 32, devastatingly handsome, with sharp features and eyes as cold as ice. Miss Chun, he said without looking up from his papers. I understand you need help. Maya swallowed her pride. My company is drowning in debt. The investors pulled out after my father died. I heard you by struggling tech companies. Alexander finally looked at her. His gaze was calculating, like he was examining a business deal, not a person. I don't buy companies that are already dead, but I've reviewed your patents. Your father's AI technology is interesting. Then help me save it, Maya pleaded. I'll do anything. A slow smile crossed Alexander's face. It wasn't a kind smile. Anything? That's a dangerous word, Miss Chun. He stood and walked around his desk, stopping in front of her. I have a proposal. My board is pressuring me to settle down. They think a married CEO looks more stable and trustworthy. I need a wife. You need money to save your company. Maya's eyes widened. You want to marry me? A contract marriage. 2 years. You play the perfect wife in public. In private, we live separate lives. In exchange, I'll invest $5 million in your company and give you the resources to rebuild it. Why me? Maya asked suspiciously. Because you're desperate enough to say yes and smart enough to keep your mouth shut, Alexander said bluntly. Also, you're presentable. My mother will approve. Maya felt anger rise in her chest, but she thought of her father's legacy, of the 50 employees who would lose their jobs. She thought of her younger brother's college tuition. I want control of my company, she said firmly. You invest, but I make all decisions. Alexander raised an eyebrow, surprised. You have courage. I like that. Fine. You get control, but I get all the patents registered under both our names. Insurance. Deal? Maya said, even though warning bells rang in her head. They shook hands. His grip was strong and cold. Maya didn't know she had just made a deal with the devil. The wedding of lies. 3 weeks later, Maya stood in a designer wedding dress that cost more than her car. The wedding was small but elegant, held at a luxury hotel with only close family and business associates present. Alexander's mother, Catherine Kane, was a tall woman with perfect posture and a permanent look of disapproval. She examined Maya like she was inspecting a piece of furniture. She's quite plain, Alexander, Catherine said right in front of Maya. Are you sure about this? She's suitable, mother, Alexander replied, not defending Maya at all. Maya smiled through the insult. She was getting good at swallowing her pride. The ceremony was quick and cold. When Alexander kissed her, it was brief and emotionless, just for the cameras. Maya felt nothing but emptiness. That night, Alexander drove her to a penthouse apartment. This is where you'll live, he said. I have my own place across town. We'll meet for public events only. My assistant will send you a schedule. Wait, Maya said as he turned to leave. We just got married. Don't you want to at least talk? Alexander looked at her with those ice-cold eyes. This is a business arrangement, Miss Chun. Don't confuse it with a real marriage. Play your part, and we'll both get what we want. The door closed behind him, and Maya was alone in the enormous, cold apartment. She walked to the bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed, still wearing her wedding dress. She didn't cry. Instead, she pulled out her laptop and started working. If this was just business, then she would treat it like business. 6 months of pretending. The next 6 months passed in a blur of fake smiles and elegant lies. Maya became the perfect CEO's wife. She wore designer clothes, attended charity galas, and smiled for the cameras. She learned to talk about art and wine, to network with billionaire wives, and to laugh at boring jokes. At every event, Alexander would put his arm around her waist and smile down at her with fake affection. To the world, they were the perfect power couple. In reality, they barely spoke. Maya threw herself into rebuilding her company. With Alexander's investment, she hired back her employees and started developing new projects. She worked 16-hour days, pouring all her loneliness into her work. But she noticed something strange. Whenever she tried to access certain files or make major decisions, she needed Alexander's approval. The patents she had agreed to share were being used by Kane Industries without her knowledge. "It's in the contract," Alexander's lawyer told her coldly when she complained. "All technology developed during the marriage is joint property." Maya realized she had been trapped. Alexander wasn't helping her company grow. He was slowly taking it over. One evening, she attended another gala, wearing a silver dress and a fake smile. Alexander was charming as always, introducing her to investors and business partners. But Maya saw how his eyes followed a tall, elegant woman across the room. The woman had long dark hair and wore a red dress that made everyone stare. She moved with confidence and grace. "Who is that?" Maya asked Alexander's assistant, James, when Alexander went to give a speech. James looked uncomfortable. "That's Victoria Hastings. She's a fashion designer. Very successful." And Maya pressed, sensing there was more. James hesitated. "She and Mr. Kane dated for 5 years. They broke up a year before he married you. It was quite serious." Maya felt something cold settle in her stomach. She watched as Alexander finished his speech and immediately walked to Victoria. They stood close together, talking in a way that looked far too intimate for ex-lovers. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She lay in her empty bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering what kind of fool she had been. The truth in the shadows. 2 weeks later, Maya arrived early at Kane Industries to drop off some documents. She was supposed to meet Alexander's assistant, but the office was quiet. As she walked past the conference room, she heard voices. She recognized Alexander's voice immediately, and then she heard another man laughing. It was Marcus Reed, Alexander's business partner and best friend. "You really pulled it off, Alex," Marcus said. "Marrying the Chun girl to get those patents. Brilliant." Maya froze outside the door. "It was almost too easy," Alexander replied. "She was so desperate to save Daddy's little company. All I had to do was wave some money and offer marriage. Women are predictable." "And the patents?" Marcus asked. "All registered under Kane Industries now. The AI technology her father developed is worth billions. Once I've extracted everything useful from Chin Technologies, I'll shut it down and absorb the assets." Maya's hand flew to her mouth to stop herself from gasping. "What about the wife?" Marcus laughed. "How long are you going to keep up the act?" "The contract is for 2 years," Alexander said coldly. "After that, I'll divorce her quietly. Give her a settlement to keep her quiet. By then, Kane Industries will have everything we need from her company." "You're cold, man. What if she finds out?" "She won't. Maya is sweet and naive. She actually thinks I'm helping her. She's too busy playing CEO to notice what's really happening." Maya backed away from the door slowly, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might explode. She walked out of the building in a daze, got in her car, and just sat there. Everything made sense now. The contract, the marriage, the way Alexander treated her like a business transaction. He had never intended to help her. He had married her to steal her father's life's work. For the first time in 6 months, Maya felt tears slide down her face. But they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of rage. She pulled out her phone and made a call. "David, it's Maya. Remember that job offer you made last year? Is it still available?" David Park was her father's former business partner, a brilliant programmer who had left to start his own tech company. He had always told Maya she was wasting her talent. "Maya, of course. Are you finally ready to join Park Technologies?" "No," Maya said, her voice steady and cold. "I'm ready to start my own company, and I'm going to need your help to destroy Alexander Kane." There was a pause, then David laughed. "Now that sounds interesting. Tell me everything." The wife who smiled too sweetly. That evening, there was another charity event. Maya stood in front of her mirror, applying lipstick carefully. She wore a stunning emerald green dress that Alexander had never seen before. She looked powerful and beautiful. When Alexander arrived to pick her up, he barely glanced at her. "Ready?" "Yes, darling," Maya said sweetly, linking her arm through his. At the gala, Maya was different. She laughed louder, charmed the investors more, and stayed closer to Alexander than usual. She played the role of loving wife so perfectly that even Alexander seemed surprised. "You're in a good mood tonight," he commented as they danced. "I'm just happy," Maya said, smiling up at him. "I've been thinking about our marriage a lot lately, about what we have together." Something flickered in Alexander's eyes. Maybe guilt? Or suspicion? Maya couldn't tell and didn't care. Across the room, she saw Victoria watching them. The woman's face was tight with jealousy. Maya made sure to kiss Alexander on the cheek, leaving a lipstick mark. "What was that for?" Alexander asked, surprised. "Can a wife kiss her husband?" Maya said innocently, but inside, she was calculating every move. She had learned something important tonight. Alexander might not love her, but he didn't like seeing Victoria jealous either. There was still something between them. That information would be useful later. As the night ended and they drove home in silence, Maya looked out the window at the city lights. She thought about her father, about how he had built something from nothing through hard work and honesty. Alexander had taken that and twisted it into something dirty. He had used her grief and desperation against her. But Maya was her father's daughter. She was smarter than Alexander thought, and she had spent 6 months learning everything about his company, his weaknesses, and his secrets. Alexander Kane thought he had trapped a naive little girl in his web, but he had actually woken up a sleeping dragon. When they arrived at her apartment, Maya turned to Alexander before getting out. "Thank you for tonight," she said sweetly. "I really enjoyed spending time with you." Alexander looked uncomfortable, like her kindness confused him. "Good night, Maya." As she walked into her building, Maya's sweet smile dropped immediately. She pulled out her phone and sent a text to David. "Meeting tomorrow. Bring the lawyers. It's time to start phase 1. The game had begun, and this time, Maya Chun was going to win. End of part 1. What happens next? Will Maya destroy Alexander's empire? Does he really love Victoria? And what secrets is Maya hiding? Subscribe to Twisted Heartstrings for part 2, The Rise of the Phoenix. Drop a comment below, Team Maya or Team Alexander. Let us know. The Rise of the Phoenix. Welcome back to Twisted Heartstrings. If you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's continue Maya's revenge story. The Secret Company. 3 months had passed since Maya overheard the truth. To everyone else, she was still the sweet, obedient wife of Alexander Kane. But in secret, she was building an empire. Every morning, Maya woke up at 5 a.m. She would go to the gym, have breakfast, and then attend meetings as Mrs. Kane. But what Alexander didn't know was that she had rented a small office across town under a fake name. The company was called Phoenix Technologies, and Maya was its anonymous founder. "These designs are incredible," David Park said, looking at the blueprints spread across the table. "This AI system is 10 times better than what your father created." Maya smiled. "My father taught me everything, but I've improved it. This technology can revolutionize how companies handle data security, and it's completely mine. Every patent, every line of code." David looked at her with respect. "You've changed, Maya. 3 months ago, you were crying on the phone. Now you're like a different person." "I grew up," Maya said simply. "I learned that being kind doesn't mean being weak. And I learned that the best revenge is becoming so successful that your enemies regret ever crossing you." She had assembled a small team of 5 brilliant programmers, all people who had left Kane Industries because of Alexander's cruel management style. They were hungry for success and loyal to Maya because she treated them with respect. "How are you funding this without Alexander knowing?" David asked. Maya's smile was mysterious. "Remember those patents Alexander thinks he owns? I kept backup copies of all my father's original work. The versions Alexander has are incomplete. The real technology is here with me." "That's genius," David laughed. "But also incredibly risky." "Alexander made one mistake," Maya said coldly. "He underestimated me. He thought I was just a sad girl trying to save her daddy's company. He never realized I'm a Chun. And Chins don't give up. We fight back." The divorce bomb. Maya timed everything perfectly. She knew Alexander's biggest investor meeting was scheduled for next month. The entire future of Kane Industries depended on securing funding from Westfield Capital, a massive investment firm. Alexander had been working on this deal for a year. If he got the investment, Kane Industries would expand internationally and become unstoppable. If he failed, the company would struggle. Maya planned to make sure he failed. 2 weeks before the investor meeting, Maya walked into Alexander's office unannounced. He looked up, annoyed. Maya, I'm busy. What do you want? She placed a thick envelope on his desk. Divorce papers. I'm filing today. Alexander stared at the envelope like it was a bomb. What? Are you insane? You can't divorce me now. Actually, I can. I consulted with lawyers. The contract says 2 years, but there's a clause that allows either party to terminate early if there's evidence of breach of contract. Maya's voice was calm and professional. What breach? Alexander stood up, his face turning red. You promised to help my company. Instead, you've been systematically stealing my technology and planning to shut down Chin Technologies. I have recordings of your conversations with Marcus. Alexander's face went pale. You've been spying on me? No, darling, Maya said sweetly. I've been protecting myself. Something I should have done from the beginning. Maya, wait. Alexander's voice changed, becoming softer. We can talk about this. If you're unhappy with the arrangement, we can renegotiate. I'm done negotiating with liars, Maya said. Sign the papers, or I'll release the recordings to the media. Imagine what your investors will think when they hear how you manipulate and use people. Alexander's jaw clenched. You can't do this. You'll destroy yourself too. Chin Technologies is tied to my company now. Actually, it's not, Maya smiled. I've been quietly separating our assets for 3 months. Chin Technologies is completely independent again. And thriving, by the way. She turned to leave, then paused at the door. Oh, and Alexander? The investor meeting next month? You might want to prepare better. I hear Westfield Capital is very particular about the character of CEOs they invest in. The door closed behind her, leaving Alexander staring at the divorce papers in shock. The public exposure. Maya didn't wait for Alexander to sign. She went straight to the media, but she was smart about it. She didn't act like a bitter ex-wife. She acted like a businesswoman exposing corporate fraud. She scheduled a press conference at a prestigious hotel. Journalists from every major publication attended, curious about why the mysterious Mrs. Kane had called them. Maya walked onto the stage wearing a sharp navy blue suit. She looked powerful and confident. Gone was the sweet, quiet wife. This was CEO Maya Chun. Thank you all for coming, she said into the microphone. I'm here to discuss corporate ethics and the abuse of power in the tech industry. The journalists leaned forward, sensing a big story. Maya pulled up a presentation on the screen behind her. 2 years ago, I made a mistake. I was grieving my father's death and desperate to save his company. Alexander Kane took advantage of that desperation. She showed the contract, with certain sections highlighted. This is the contract I signed. As you can see, I agreed to give Kane Industries access to my family's patents in exchange for investment. What I didn't know was that Mr. Kane had no intention of helping my company. His plan was always to steal the technology and shut us down. Cameras flashed as journalists frantically took notes. Maya played the audio recording. Alexander's voice filled the room, cold and calculating. All I had to do was wave some money and offer marriage. Women are predictable. The room erupted in shocked murmurs. I'm not here for sympathy, Maya continued. I'm here to warn other entrepreneurs, especially women, about predatory business practices, and to announce that Chin Technologies is now completely independent and will be launching a revolutionary AI security system next month. A journalist raised her hand. Mrs. Kane, are you divorcing your husband? I already filed the papers, Maya said calmly. And please, call me Ms. Chun. I'm taking back my name. Another journalist asked, what about Kane Industries? Won't this hurt their upcoming investment deal? Maya's smile was ice cold. That's not my concern. I'm focused on building my own company now. But investors should definitely do their research on who they're funding. Character matters in business. The press conference lasted an hour. By the time it ended, the story was already going viral on social media. #MayaChun was trending worldwide. People were calling her brave, inspiring, and a fighter. But more importantly, Westfield Capital CEO had watched the press conference. And he was very, very interested. Alexander's desperate move. That evening, Alexander showed up at Maya's apartment. He looked terrible, like he hadn't slept in days. His perfect hair was messy, his tie was loose, and his eyes were bloodshot. Maya opened the door, but didn't let him in. What do you want, Alexander? Please, he said, and his voice cracked. Please take it back. The press conference, the recordings. I'll give you anything. I don't want anything from you, Maya said coldly. Maya, you're destroying me. Kane Industries stock has dropped 30% since this morning. My board is talking about removing me as CEO. The Westfield deal is falling apart. Good, Maya said simply. Alexander grabbed her hand desperately. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I used you, and that was horrible. But please, we can fix this. We can start over. Maya pulled her hand away. Start over? You stole my father's life work. You manipulated me when I was grieving. You married me as part of a business strategy. And you think saying sorry will fix that? I'll do anything, Alexander begged. I'll sign over all the patents. I'll invest more in your company. I'll give you half of Kane Industries. I don't want your company, Maya said. I want you to feel what I felt. The helplessness, the betrayal, the rage. I want you to know what it's like when someone you trusted destroys everything you love. I never wanted to hurt you this badly, Alexander said quietly. But you did. And now you have to live with the consequences. Maya started to close the door. Wait. Alexander put his foot in the door. What about Victoria? Maya paused. What about her? You saw us together at events. You must have questions. I know you're still in love with her, Maya said. I've known for months. I saw the way you look at her. Alexander looked shocked. If you knew, why didn't you say anything? Because it didn't matter. Our marriage was fake, remember? You made that very clear. Maya's voice was bitter. But I did wonder something. If you love Victoria so much, why did you break up with her? Why marry me instead? Alexander was quiet for a long moment. She wanted a real marriage. Love, commitment, children. I wasn't ready. I was too focused on building my empire. So she left me. And now? Maya asked. Now I realize I'm going to lose everything. My company, my reputation, and maybe even the only woman I ever truly loved. Alexander looked broken. Victoria won't even return my calls. She saw the press conference. She thinks I'm a monster. Maya felt a small pang of something. Not quite sympathy, but understanding. You are a monster, Alexander. You just hide it behind expensive suits and charity galas. Then make me better, Alexander said desperately. Help me become the man Victoria deserves. The man you deserved. That's not my job, Maya said. I'm not your redemption story. I'm the woman you underestimated, and now I'm the competition. Get used to it. She closed the door in his face. The alliance. The next day, Maya received a surprise call. It was Richard Westfield himself, CEO of Westfield Capital. Miss Chun, I was very impressed by your press conference, he said. I'd like to discuss a potential investment in Phoenix Technologies. Maya's heart raced, but she kept her voice calm. Phoenix Technologies is not officially launched yet, Mr. Westfield. I know. That's why I want to invest now, before everyone else realizes what you're building. I've had my team review your patents and technology. It's extraordinary. They met at an exclusive restaurant. Richard Westfield was a man in his 60s with sharp eyes and a reputation for never making bad investments. I'll be direct, Ms. Chun. I was planning to invest $50 million in Kane Industries. But after seeing how Alexander Kane treats his business partners, I've changed my mind. I'd like to invest that $50 million in your company instead. Maya almost choked on her water. $50 million. That was enough to turn Phoenix Technologies into a major player overnight. What's the catch? She asked. Richard smiled. Smart question. The catch is that I want you to compete directly with Kane Industries. I believe Alexander Kane has had too much power in the tech industry for too long. He needs real competition, and I think you're the perfect person to provide it. You want me to destroy him, Maya said. I want you to beat him fairly in the market, Richard corrected. If his company fails, it will be because yours is better. That's just business. Maya thought about it. This was exactly what she wanted. The resources to build something bigger and better than anything Alexander had. I accept, she said. But I have one condition. I want full control of my company. You invest, but I make all the decisions. Richard laughed. You've learned from your mistakes. I respect that. Deal. They shook hands. Maya felt power flowing through her veins. She was no longer the desperate girl begging for help. She was a CEO with $50 million in funding and a brilliant product to sell. There's one more thing, Richard said. Kane Industries is hosting their annual tech summit next month. All the major players in the industry will be there. I think Phoenix Technologies should make its official debut at that summit. Maya's eyes lit up. You want me to launch my company at Alexander's event? It would certainly be memorable. Richard said with a mischievous smile. And it would send a clear message that there's a new player in town. I love it, Maya said. Let's do it. The truth comes out. That night, Maya was working late in her new office when her phone rang. It was an unknown number. Hello. Miss Chun, this is Victoria Hastings. We need to talk. Maya was surprised but curious. About what? About Alexander. And about the real reason he married you. They met at a quiet cafe. Victoria was even more beautiful up close, but her eyes were sad and tired. Why did you want to meet? Maya asked. Because I owe you the truth, Victoria said. And because I feel guilty. Guilty about what? Victoria took a deep breath. Alexander didn't just marry you for your patents. He married you because of me. Maya frowned. I don't understand. When Alexander and I broke up, I told him I was going to marry someone else. A man who actually wanted a future with me, not just a business partnership. Alexander was furious. His ego couldn't handle that I had moved on. Victoria pulled out her phone and showed Maya a text message. It was from Alexander, dated 2 weeks before he proposed the contract marriage to Maya. The message read, You want to see me settled down? Fine. I'll find a wife. I'll show you I can commit. Then you'll realize what a mistake you made. Maya felt cold. He married me to make you jealous? Partly. But he also saw an opportunity with your company. Alexander always kills 2 birds with 1 stone. Victoria looked guilty. I didn't know he was manipulating you so badly. I thought it was just a business arrangement. When I saw your press conference, I realized how cruel he'd been. Why are you telling me this? Maya asked. Because you deserve to know the full truth. And because... Victoria hesitated. Because Alexander called me yesterday. He was crying, saying he'd ruined everything. He asked me to help him fix his reputation. And will you? No, Victoria said firmly. I loved Alexander once. But the man I loved doesn't exist anymore. Maybe he never did. He's become obsessed with winning, with being the best, with destroying anyone who challenges him. Maya felt a strange kinship with this woman. They had both been hurt by Alexander's selfishness. Thank you for telling me, Maya said. But I don't need his apologies or his regrets. I just need to move forward. Victoria smiled. You're stronger than I was. When Alexander broke my heart, I ran away. But you're fighting back. I admire that. Maybe we should work together, Maya said suddenly. Phoenix Technologies needs a brand director. Someone who understands luxury markets and high-end clients. Your fashion company is incredibly successful. Victoria looked surprised. You want to work with me? Why not? We're both women who refuse to be destroyed by Alexander Kane. That's a pretty good foundation for a partnership. Victoria laughed. It was the first genuine laugh Maya had heard from her. You know what? I accept. Let's show Alexander what happens when you underestimate strong women. They shook hands, and Maya felt something shift. She wasn't alone anymore. She had allies, resources, and a plan. Alexander Kane was about to learn a very expensive lesson. The stock market war. 2 weeks later, Kane Industries' stock continued to fall. Investors were pulling out, worried about Alexander's ethics and judgment. The company was hemorrhaging money. Meanwhile, Phoenix Technologies was rising. Word had spread about the mysterious new company with revolutionary AI technology. Pre-orders were flooding in from companies eager to upgrade their security systems. Maya sat in her new corner office, watching the stock market numbers on her multiple screens. David walked in with a huge smile. You're not going to believe this, he said. Kane Industries just posted a notice. They're looking for emergency investors. They need money fast, or they'll have to start laying off employees. Maya felt a twinge of something. Not quite guilt, but awareness. Real people worked at Kane Industries. People with families and bills to pay. Make a statement, she told David. Phoenix Technologies will be hiring. Any Kane Industries employees who lose their jobs are welcome to apply with us. We'll prioritize them in the hiring process. David looked at her with respect. That's classy, boss. You're beating Alexander, but you're not becoming like him. That's the whole point, Maya said. Revenge isn't about becoming a monster. It's about being so much better that your enemy realizes what they lost. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from Alexander. Please, we need to talk. Not about business. About us. Maya stared at the message for a long moment. Part of her wanted to ignore it, but another part of her was curious. What could Alexander possibly have to say now? She typed back, tomorrow. My office. 2 p.m. Come alone. Alexander's response was immediate. Thank you. I'll be there. Maya leaned back in her chair, looking out at the city skyline. In just 3 months, she had gone from a broken, betrayed wife to a powerful CEO. She had built a company, secured massive funding, and was on the verge of overtaking Kane Industries. But the real question remained. What would she do when she finally defeated Alexander completely? Would victory be enough? Or was there something else she wanted? Tomorrow's meeting would decide everything. Into part 2. What will Alexander say to Maya? Can he really change? And what secret is Maya still hiding? Don't miss part 3, the final checkmate. Subscribe to Twisted Heartstrings. Comment below. Should Maya forgive Alexander or finish destroying him? Team Revenge or Team Second Chance? The final checkmate. Welcome back to Twisted Heartstrings. This is the final part of Maya's epic revenge story. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's see how this all ends. The unexpected confession. Maya arrived at her office early the next day. She wore a powerful black pantsuit and had her hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail. She looked like a woman who had conquered the world, because in many ways, she had. At exactly 2 p.m., her assistant buzzed. Ms. Chun, Mr. Kane is here. Send him in. Alexander walked through the door, and Maya was shocked. He looked like he had aged 10 years in 3 months. His expensive suit hung looser on his frame. His eyes had dark circles underneath them. His usual arrogant confidence was completely gone. Thank you for seeing me, he said quietly. Maya gestured to the chair across from her desk. You have 15 minutes. Talk. Alexander sat down slowly. He stared at his hands for a moment before speaking. I've been doing a lot of thinking these past few weeks. About who I've become. About the choices I've made. And Maya's voice was cold. And I realized I'm exactly like my father. Alexander's voice cracked. He was a ruthless businessman who destroyed anyone in his path. My mother left him because of it. I grew up hating him, swearing I'd be different. But I became worse. Maya said nothing, just watched him. When I met you, you reminded me of my mother, Alexander continued. Kind, intelligent, strong in a quiet way. And I used you just like my father used everyone. I'm so sorry, Maya. I'm so deeply sorry. Sorry doesn't fix what you did, Maya said. Sorry doesn't give me back the year I wasted. Sorry doesn't heal the betrayal. I know. Alexander looked up at her, and she saw real tears in his eyes. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that you were right about me. I am a monster. And losing you, losing my company, losing Victoria's respect, it's all my own fault. Maya felt something twist in her chest, but she pushed it down. Why are you really here, Alexander? What do you want? I want to make things right, he said. Not for me. For you. And for everyone I've hurt. He pulled out a folder and placed it on her desk. These are the complete patents for all the technology one stole from you. I'm signing them back to you, no conditions. And this, he placed another document down, is my resignation as CEO of Kane Industries. Maya's eyes widened. You're stepping down? The board wanted to fire me. I'm stepping down before they get the chance. It's the least I can do. Alexander's smile was bitter. Kane Industries needs new leadership. Someone ethical. Someone who won't use people like chess pieces. Who will run it? Maya asked. Marcus is taking over temporarily. But honestly, the company might not survive. We're bleeding money. Investors are gone. Employees are leaving. Alexander shrugged. Maybe it's what we deserve. Maya studied him carefully. Was this real remorse? Or another manipulation? But looking at his broken posture, his genuine pain, she believed him. There's something else I need to tell you, Alexander said, his voice barely a whisper. Something I should have said a long time ago. What? I fell in love with you. The words hung in the air like thunder. Not at first. At first, you were just part of a plan. But somewhere along the way, watching you handle the pressure with grace, seeing how kind you were even to people who didn't deserve it, watching you smile at those boring galas, I fell in love with you. And I was too much of a coward to admit it. Maya's heart stuttered. You're lying. I'm not. Why do you think I could barely look at you? Why do you think I avoided you so much? Because every time I saw you, I felt guilty. I knew I was betraying someone I was starting to care about. Alexander's voice broke completely. And then I heard Victoria wanted me back, and I panicked. I thought if I could get her, I could forget about you. But it didn't work. I just hurt everyone. Maya stood up, her hands shaking. Get out. Maya. Get out, she shouted. You don't get to do this. You don't get to say you love me after everything you've done. That's not love, Alexander. That's guilt. That's regret. That's you trying to feel better about being a terrible person. Alexander stood up slowly. You're right. I'm sorry. I just wanted you to know the truth. He walked to the door, then paused. For what it's worth, you're going to be an amazing mother. Maya froze. What did you say? Alexander turned back, confused. I said you'll be an amazing leader. No, you said mother. Maya's voice was barely a whisper. I didn't. Alexander stopped, seeing the expression on Maya's face. Maya, are you? The room spun. Maya grabbed the edge of her desk to steady herself. The secret she had been hiding for 2 months was about to explode. The secret she kept. I need you to leave, Maya said, her voice shaking. Right now. But Alexander didn't move. He stared at her with growing realization. Oh my God, you're pregnant. It doesn't matter, Maya said desperately. It doesn't change anything.